So, let's talk about jealousy, because that is what Paul Schrader's 2013 film, The Canyons, is about. It's an erotic thriller based around the brattiest of brats roaming and sleazing their way around the Hollywood Hills. Penned by Bret Easton Ellis, the man who has brought us some of the most soulless people over the past few decades, from Less Than Zero to American Psycho to The Rules of Attraction to The Informers, Ellis has a gift for writing and giving us these awful creatures who usually wind up deserving their loneliness or deaths. Rarely does he give you anyone with soul in his stories. You can argue that Clay in Less Than Zero has a heart, and maybe Jean in American Psycho is a good girl, but to me, they just wallow in their own self-fulfilling fantasies that are as soulless as they are as those that they are chasing. Ellis can write, and he does so with a rhythm that seems to be very difficult to translate to film. His works on the screen usually go unheralded, with the exception of American Psycho, which has found itself celebrating cult status success. Well, I beg to differ, as I can endorse all of the above-mentioned films, including The Informers, which I find to be a lost masterpiece with brilliant performances that capture the essence of Ellis just as well as Christian Bale's Patrick Bateman in American Psycho. And this leads us to The Canyons, which has been critically shot down and is being thought of as one of the worst films in recent years, and a very sad contribution to an otherwise near legendary career of Paul Schrader. Well, once again, when it comes to Ellis on film, I'm going to take the opposite approach and say that this is a very fascinating piece of cinema, and Schrader finds Ellis's rhythm and puts together a unique little film with performances from porn star James Dean and troubled Hollywood starlet Lindsay Lohan that, in my opinion, are pretty absolutely stunning. And we'll talk more about The Canyons during our discussion, but let's just talk for a minute about jealousy, because this is something that has clouded me throughout my entire life. Yes, I'm a very jealous human being, and unfortunately, it has done nothing but bring me down. And maybe that's why I like this film, because I know what it's like to be scarred by this emotional torture. Over the years, this enraged jealousy I've had has calmed, and it now swims in a multitude of vices like booze, food, marijuana, cigarettes, and a whole lot of porn. But I'm still a dysfunctional mess, most likely because I've never tried to really deal with it. I mean, this is my first public admission about my own jealousy. I suffer from severe jealousy, and I'm so sorry it might have affected you. You know, I've disappointed you. I've made you angry in your otherwise angerless world. I mean, I've let you down. I'm a brat in a Bret Easton Ellis novel, minus the trust fund. The funny thing is, my inner understanding of jealousy and dysfunction has caused me to like what you might consider some really bad films. Hence my enjoyment for The Informers and The Canyons. Both I can watch over and over again, probably so I could wallow in my very own dark misery. What's wrong with me? The scariest thought of all is not only am I jealous of other people's success, happiness, and love, I'm afraid I might be jealous of my own success, happiness, and love, which means I'm in a fucking hole I'm never getting out of. I'm bound to this. I'm in it for the long haul. Paul Schrader and Bret Easton Ellis were the perfect combination to make me realize a few things about myself. And for that, I'm going to endorse The Canyons, no matter what anybody says. Thank you.
Wow.
Wow, Tom.
Damn.
Dude.
Man,
That may have been the most confessional. That may
outstanding.
be the most confessional review that anybody's ever delivered on the show, Tom.
Yeah, Tom.
Kudos to you, bro. I don't do you. I mean, do you even know how confessional that was? I mean, how? I mean, you're burying yourself there, man. I
Yeah,
mean, do you even realize how
I
like
do. I just came. It just I was, I watched the movie and then, I always sleep on the film, before I write, any of this mumbo jumbo and it's what I thought about. It's what I went to sleep thinking about. I thought about that word and then I aligned it with myself and how it's really had a major effect on my life and how I've felt about people and things and why I might
have you thought about that before?
not as much as I have been the past 24 hours. No. No, not at all. It's just
Well, it takes a lot of bravery and courage to do what you just did
yeah,
right
I
there.
I feel
It takes
pretty good
courage to
about it.
just do it to yourself
Yeah.
without even putting it out there in the open like you're doing on this podcast.
Right. I know.
Just to do it to yourself,
Right.
to admit it, that kind of stuff to yourself
Yeah.
means that I mean it takes a lot of courage.
Well, it's funny because I've been struggling with writing, these intros for the show. I think as of late, I'm like to me personally, I'm like hit or miss. And another thing, just thinking, I mean, I'm just not being as honest as I think I used to be like doing this. I used to have, I definitely used to bring up, myself and a form of honesty to what I've been writing for the show, and I lost touch with that, and it's been a real struggle for me. So I really wanted to make this piece about how I really how the effect it really had on me watching this, and how that when you're watching a movie, I mean that's
With the, well, as the show's naturally evolves,
Correct.
everybody's what their contributions to the show. I think everybody who participates in the show, their contributions evolve along to their own personal rhythms.
yes,
So going back and listening to old reviews that any of us have done are definitely, you take different inroads to how you approach them. And I mean, a lot of it has to do with the films that we're watching,
yes.
obviously. So,
Well,
yeah, it
yeah.
sounds like you're just trying to become what the film, what this show has become is on trying to understand ourselves through the movies we watch, which is
I
really
mean that's
one of the best things about
right.
the show.
That's what it's become, and that's what it needs to be. And luckily, I was able to do that in strength this time. So I like I said at the end of the intro, Joe. I thank Schrader and Ellis for getting that out of me. I've always adored Bret Easton Ellis. So
Well, I know the other two guys are going to want to jump in on what you said there, but before before I let you over to them. Uh, when you said you're jealous of your own happiness, do you know how profound?
yeah, I can't even believe I wrote that.
I mean, do you run that? You understand how that gets to like the heart of a lot of your own trouble?
Yeah. Yeah, I never put it into words before. I mean, albeit like I put it in a it was very simple how I put it, I just very direct, but I never, I think I've danced around it like in poems and, in disguise, but
Well, dude, I've known you for 20 something years now, Tom. You're one of my dearest friends. It's not even that you're my friend. Sometimes I hate you, but you're like my brother. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
fair
Like
enough.
it's like your
Sure,
family.
sure.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So,
Yeah.
um, I see just seeing you and knowing you for all this time. I just see that you're. I don't want to go somewhere where you're uncomfortable, but I just see that a
Oh,
lot
I
of
brought
times
it up,
you're
dude, so
yeah, you brought it up. So you're your own worst enemy. Like you. It seemed if I was gonna do pop psychoanalysis on you, it seems like sometimes you don't believe that you deserve to have better things or this or that or the other thing, and like you make these justifications why you're not gonna go. You give yourself excuses why you're not gonna go and have a good time or get the things that you want
right. Isn't
because
that
of,
sad? Like that's really sad. Like I've lived a sad life, dude. And I as I'm
your life's not over.
Yeah,
So
okay.
Tom, now that you have had this, whatever we want to call it, epiphany, insight, you've allowed yourself to see this, accept it, discuss it, put it out there. what's the next step for you? What do you do about it? What do you do with this knowledge?
Well, that's the tricky thing, man, because as you know, Adam, it's going to be very easy for me to slip back into the same habit. I mean, that's most likely what happens with most people. You know, they make a realization about themselves, and you know, they they forget about it. And
Well, but that's a choice. That's a choice.
it is a choice. It is a choice. What I'm going.
But you're not gonna. You can't expect that you're gonna change overnight just because you said something
That's
on a podcast.
that's the thing. Oh, exactly.
So you're working on. Let me just give you an example. I had this back and forth with Dave after we did our recording, and I know part of the segment I think got edited out, where he was getting down on himself because I don't know how much. Anyway, he was getting weird. I started having this conversation with Dave about getting bummed out or angry about rejection and needing other people to validate what you do, and that's something that I've also had issues with, and I told him, I was like, I can't say that you win you don't win a battle against an ugly part of yourself. Like I still feel like it still feels like I need people to like what I do, but at the same point, I know that I'm fighting the battle that that need for validation. Like I'm trying to suppress it or overcome it or master it, and I know that maybe I never will. But knowing that I fight that battle, it makes it easier to deal with certain things when they come. So don't expect.
Can you take a compliment and really cherish it and hold it up against your heart? Can you do that? Can you take? Can you do that?
I can. I can.
Yes. I can't.
I know.
I can't.
And if I was going to play,
do you know how hard it is to live life like that, especially when you're capable of doing so many things, and you could have people that are more talented. Look at Max. Max is one of the most talented people I've ever met in my life, and he's my friend, and he works with me on the show, and he deals with a lot of shit, like same as you.
So your battle then, Tom. Though I know you're going to get mad. I know Max needs to weigh on this, but your battle then is to keep telling yourself that I deserve that compliment, and not that you need the compliment, because that's my problem, right? Like you don't need the compliment, but you deserve that compliment because you're proud of what you do, and you deserve to.
I get the compliments. I just don't hear them. They don't settle in. They don't.
That's what I mean. You need to recognize that you've
sink into my skin and into my blood and into my soul and into my brain, and it needs all that. It needs to fucking break through. It needs to,
because you've had here. Listen, man. Maybe I don't know. I didn't know you when you were a kid. I don't know, but maybe somebody told me that you weren't worth any compliments for too long.
No. See, this is the sad thing about this whole fucking thing, in which I'll never be able to understand it, is that I've always been complimented. I've always been good at things. I've always done well.
But has there been a figure in your past who told you that you weren't worth one thing or the other?
Not her.
A father figure or stand-in father figure? I think
there was, yeah, like he was more physically abusive. I guess so, yeah. I guess there's a lot blocked out with this guy, though. You know what I'm saying?
People telling you you're a piece of shit when you're a kid.
Yeah, yes. My mother's boyfriend did. I mean, I've talked about this guy a little bit, yeah. And he wasn't my father, and yet, when I was beginning to understand the concept of fatherhood, when I was like 7 or 8 years old, this was the guy that represented that. That person that this is he represented the father to me.
Yeah, exactly. And when you're a parent figure, it doesn't matter if they're your actual figure and you've released them or something during your formative years. If you have somebody who's telling you that you're a piece of shit, that shit is hard to get rid of.
Yeah.
You don't ever get rid of it. You don't get rid of what you were formed, how you were formed.
Yeah.
I don't mean to.
No, it's all right. No, it's just it's always bothered me that this dude was like around through like my life, like between like second grade and like 8th or 9th grade, and he had like the biggest effect on me, and like he was just in my life for like those few short years. It's just bizarre, but it's not his. Listen, a lot has gone on in my life since then, even before then, where I've received a lot of love and a lot of, a lot of encouragement. You know, I mean, I've gone through some shitty times, but I'll tell you, even throughout all the shitty times, I've always had someone there that loved me, and I'm lucky for that. But I don't know, Joe. I don't know what my deal is. I can't. I don't know. I don't want to. We should be talking about the canyons. I don't. I
Can I get some clarity on something, Tom?
Sure. Yeah.
And Joe brought it up, but you said in your intro, which I thought was stunning, you said that you're sometimes jealous of yourself. Do you mean a version of yourself that the guy that, like Tom the artist versus Tom the server sitting at home smoking and watching TV? Which Tom are we talking about that you're jealous of?
Yeah, it's like I was trying to relate it where I'm like jealous of, like, like, listen, Max, if you got a this is just reality to me. This is just the way my brain works. If you got a if you got signed to do a pilot for NBC tomorrow, I'd be happy for you, but I'd be jealous. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'd be right. I really would. And you know how I would react to it. I would say, yeah, nice. And I'm sure I would probably say something, confusing and kind of negative about it too. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to, what I think I mean is that if I am, like, if I experience something like that, or if I give myself an opportunity to experience something like that, this person right here, right now, can't handle it. Like, I can't handle that. The person that I am right now couldn't handle something like that. So I'm jealous of me, getting things like that, like I would any other person.
Do you know what he means, Adam?
I do. I get that. I mean, the one thought that I have a bit though is if you're looking to make a change or to try to do something different, I think the emphasis would be put more on learning how to change some behavior patterns as opposed to looking back at what's the cause and why, because there's probably a lot of reasons why, and understanding it can be helpful, but it doesn't necessarily change anything.
So let me ask you a question. I mentioned some vices that I draw myself to. Are you suggesting that I, like, just maybe even tried to delete one of them and really, is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't know if that's the problem.
I don't know if it's the problem, but I know.
Yeah, I don't think it doesn't sound like that's the problem. It sounds like it's just that sort of jealous reactivity, and understanding where it comes from is like, that's like therapy, analysis, whatever. There's a place for it, but it's more about almost learning how to think a little differently on the subject, to learn to understand how you react to something, and being able to slowly change that reaction to something more positive.
Yeah. Max, I'm just trying to, I just wrote this today, and I'm still trying to understand it myself. So forgive me if I'm not being as clear as you'd like me to be.
You don't ever have to ask my forgiveness, Tom. And it's so funny because I really appreciate, and I have a hard time hearing all the nice things that you say about me.
Yeah, see,
I really do.
So I think that you and I are connected a lot here.
Absolutely, Tom. Absolutely. You understand that I am embedded in a world where I am surrounded by some of the most successful, talented people at their craft, and they are working every day, and I'm not. Mm-hmm. And so I have really gone deep on this. Is it me? I reach out and I try to understand. I call my agents. Is it me? Oh, no, we love you. I call the people who are working. I'll send an MP3 of an audition to someone who is much more authoritative in this field, and I'll say, what do you think of this? Do you think this is ready? This is a big part. Do you think this is ready to go to the agent? And they'll either respond with, you might want to try it this way, or they'll say, oh, no, I think it's good to go. I never know what the fucking formula is. And you know what I have discovered? And it began in 2006 when Adam and I started Bowler Hat Productions. It all goes back to doing something for yourself.
Right.
And I've always been too concerned about doing everything else for everyone else. My Uncorked thing, this is finally something for me. This is where I can only count on myself. Adam's a busy guy. He's doing his own thing. I can't count on Adam. When Adam and I collaborate, it's great, but I have to count on myself. And when the cutting room comes along, for me, this is a tremendous creative release. And this is really the only creative release that you have. And I've told you this time and time again, I'm starting to feel like it's not enough. And I have offered, Tom, like illustrations if you wanted to draw or rather write about life. I say, hey, write something autobiographical, even if it's a short story, and I'll do some drawings for you, and you can put it on a social media site. Nothing ever happens. I say, hey, Tom, the Tom Detloff Show, a spinoff of The Cutting Room. We can do this. We can figure it out. I'll be your co-host. Nothing ever happens. And that's because I believe in you. But you have to find it for yourself.
Yeah.
Just like I had to find it for myself. You have to find the wherewithal. It's gotten to the point where
That's really good advice.
And that's, by the way, kind of what I'm talking about.
Because
changing behaviors. Do the things that will bring you happiness.
Yeah, he's right, because and that makes sense, Max. Now that I think about it, because everything that I've done creatively, I'm dragging somebody with me through the mud. Whether it was my brother Jeff with the music. It wasn't me. It was him and I doing it. Or when we made a movie, it was him and I doing it. When it's this podcast, it's I'm dragging Joe through the mud with me. And I don't mean it like that, Joe, but you understand what I'm saying. It's like I've Joe has his projects that it's Joe's voice. So everybody on the show has their own voice, where Joe puts his films out and it's his voice. It's his vision. And Max has his blog and does his YouTube channel, and Adam is doing his pilot, and Dave does his journalistic endeavors, and so on and so forth down the line. I mean, I do this, but it's more of a it's a collaborative thing.
Well, all those things. Well, yeah, there's a lot of collaboration takes a lot. You just need to own. You know what you need to do is just own it. You know what I mean? Like, look, Tom, this is your thing. You love to do that. You love to do this, right? I love to do it too, to a certain extent, but I really enjoy it. Let's just say that. I mean, I wouldn't. I would hate to see it go away, but I always wanted you to own it. I wanted it to be you. You know what I mean? Like, what? There's no reason. Like, if this is your thing, there's no reason. Nothing wrong with you being a broadcaster or podcaster or whatever. So you should own this thing. Don't rely on me. You should take it from me. You should learn. There's no reason a year and a half, 3 years into it, 75 fucking episodes, that you should be audio editing. You should know how to run a site, a podcast.
Yeah.
And you know what? You should go and intern at a radio station. You own it. I mean, you are perfectly capable. Look at some of the Nimrods who run podcasts. I mean, it's not rocket science. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you practice, I'm there to support you until you get up to a certain level of editing or whatever. And then, you're going to feel much better about. You know what? Right now, it's like you rely on me, right?
I do rely on you.
I'm fucking busy. Of course you do. I produce the fucking thing. I put it out. It wouldn't happen unless I'm doing it. And sometimes I'm like, God, I just want to be a guest. I just want to be like everybody else in the show. I come on and I talk, and that's it.
Familiar.
As much as I like doing all that too, Joe, I wish I could just be a guest too.
well, then okay. I hear you. All right. Well, but you get the point.
It's in my life too, and it's not easy. It's not like this is all I fucking think about. I mean, as the years have gone on, especially with the way we format the show with the movies and all the pressure.
But still, Max is always on you. Stop watching and start doing. He's always said that to you, and that's a key to this, man. Turn that fucking television on.
Yeah.
I mean, not just you.
I'm at least find the balance.
I don't appreciate that assessment because it's inaccurate. I don't watch TV all day. It's not what's going on here.
All right. Well, I don't mean to attack
TV,
you.
Tom, but
it's insulting.
Like,
insulted by that.
All right.
Well,
I'm saying it to people in general, actually.
Fine.
I had to finally make a schedule for myself, Tom. I am allowed to sit down and enjoy a documentary or something after 5 o'clock. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you something else that really helped me, Tom. Something else that really helped me and changed my life was getting back to reading. And I don't even mean biographies. Like, I'm reading novels, and my
Count
brain
of Monte
is now
Cristo?
making movies. What's that?
Count of Monte Cristo.
I'll put that on the list. But you understand how awesome it is to sit here with Adam and listen to you, Tom, having the same discussion with Joe that Adam and I had in the past? It's uncanny. I would have to count on Adam. Why do you think Mimosa doesn't happen anymore? It's not that it's dead. It'll hopefully come back in some incarnation.
Absolutely.
But I would sit there counting on Adam. Sunday, right. Where's the show? Where's the show? Where's the show? Adam has a fucking life. Adam got to the point where he wasn't alone anymore, and he got married, and life happens, and and then I'm like, well, I thought we were gonna do this. Well, wait a second. I can still do this. I can still edit. I can make my videos look better. I've got my own thing going on. He's got his own thing going on. And next thing you know, I blossomed internally for myself because I wasn't counting on Adam, and I was counting on myself. And I got to tell you, Tom, it's a really great formula for self-esteem.
Yeah, it's very liberating.
And you know what? If you look at it just like any kind of relationship, you got to kind of be able to be independent in your own person. And then the collaboration isn't that you're depending on the other person for your happiness or for your success. It's that you're sharing that with them. And you can work as a team and in collaboration, but it's not because you are depending on it. It's because you're an independent person who is working in conjunction in creative harmony with somebody, or any kind of harmony, any kind of relationship.
And by doing that, you become a better collaborator.
Absolutely.
Which, I mean, it's just a positive thing all around.
Definitely,
because you don't have animosity toward one another, whatever. Whatever.
Joe, I don't have any animosity towards you.
He was talking about my animosity towards him.
Oh.
Yes, yeah. I'm feeling a lot of vitriol from Adam right now.
Thanks guys for talking with me about this, because obviously it was on my mind, and I didn't mean to make this about me or anything. It just
Tom, you're already knocking down probably some of the best moments that this show's had yet.
I'm not like, I don't know what these people are thinking listening to this stuff. I don't know.
Who gives a fuck what they're thinking? They're gonna still listen, whether they like you, don't like you, think you're fucked up, think you're awesome. Jeremy Garcia is sitting here with his pants around his ankles.
You know what, Tom? People respond to honesty. People respond to the real deal.
Yeah,
you just put it fucking out there, man. So nice work.
Thank you. And if you guys don't mind, because we only got about 5 or 10 more minutes for this episode, I'd like to get your feelings on the Canyons. Joe, is there any way we could make this happen for our listeners?
Well, Max did say pants around the ankle, so I guess that's as good a segue. Oh man, I don't know. Where do you start? You brought up Bret Easton Ellis. How about there?
Yeah. Well, no.
So you're a big fan of Bret Easton Ellis.
I love him. Right? Yeah. I mean, and I've read him too. I mean, I really dig him. I mean, I love American Psycho. I love the book.
No, I've never seen The Informers.
I'm a big. The Informers is with Mickey Rourke. Who's the kid from Bully? Max. Jeez, Louise, my body. I'm all flustered here because we were in deep thought. Brad Renfro, Billy Bob Thornton, Kim Basinger is in it. It's yeah. I mean, it's basically a story a little bit similar. Well, it takes place during the same time as Less Than Zero, and it's about rich kids in Los Angeles who are all experiencing these different things. But it's to me, it's a real powerful film, man. It's really
He always centers on, like what you were saying, the cold, soulless generation.
Always.
Was this your first time watching this movie?
Yeah, this is the first time I saw the Canyons. Yeah, I mean, it's been on my radar. I hadn't gotten to it, and
you liked it right off the bat.
Off the bat, man. Yeah.
Yeah. See, when I saw it, I think that I was victim to what everybody else was victim to when I first saw it. It was right when it came out. I just think the Lindsay Lohan phenomenon just overshadowed everything.
See, Lindsay. See, I'm not involved in I don't know what she does, or I don't like. If you showed me, we were talking about this last night during the Oscars because I have no idea who these people are. Like, if somebody was showed me a picture of Kanye and they said, "Who's this?" I wouldn't know who it is.
I hear you. I'm kind of the same way, but for some reason
that is our like Common. This guy Common came out last night during the Oscars and did a song. I don't know.
Oh, Common. Yeah, well, he's got. Yeah,
I wouldn't know if you showed me a picture of him and just said fill in the person's name. I wouldn't know who the fuck it is.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I think that when she's in the movie, a movie like this that's so low budget, so it's almost a disservice to have a star like this in it, or especially one who's going to cast a shadow over the production, because the film is actually a very micro budget, almost
$250,000. Yeah, is mostly raised on Kickstarter. Another one of these projects. These are starting to get more and more popular.
Yeah, about half.
Yeah, which is these guys, that aren't getting work in the studios that have names. Look, I mean, I know that Spike Lee did this recently. I know somebody else did too. They're going to Kickstarter, man, and they have a legion of fans. So they're gonna put in money. So with how little it costs to make a movie nowadays, Joe, you could put together a pretty decent independent project on the cheap.
Yeah, well, I mean, this thing costs about what'd you say, 250?
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, that's not.
You're probably paying the writer.
It's all relative. Yeah, it's relative. But you know what? Just anyway, the point I was gonna make was that I actually like this better the second time I watched it than the first time. You know what I mean? Like, I just kind of saw it for what it was, which was just a very understated movie. And then I just think that because Lindsay Lohan was in it, it became I was perceiving it as something that it wasn't.
Yeah.
But when I just looked at it today, it's just a small movie. It's just a small movie that these guys were fucking around with. You know what I mean? It has that feel of like a very indie production, which I like.
Adam.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about the Canyons? I mean, quickly. I know we're
I thought it was a one Tangerine Dream soundtrack away from being a really bad 80s film. I didn't love it. And, I like Ellis. Max and I actually went. Do you remember, Max? We went to go see American Psycho, but we went with our girlfriends at the time, and they had no interest. So they went off to go see some other film that was like playing at the next theater. I remember.
Shit, really?
Yeah. And we went and saw American Psycho. So, Schrader.
You like Ellis?
Yeah. I get no problem. I thought, great, two of them together. The Lindsay Lohan thing doesn't bother me. I can look past that. I just thought it was too talky. Show me more. It was a little. I didn't love the script, and in fact, I was just talking with Max the other day about how he recommended a little low budget horror film to me that I watched, and I loved it. And it was it must have been a tiny little budget, but the script was so strong. And the performances were so strong that it carried the whole thing. And I felt like if the script was maybe a little stronger, this movie could have been really good and really compelling for all the reasons you guys are talking about. It just, I had trouble.
It was kind of soap opera.
It was,
very soap opera, because you're talking about a love triangle, a real simple story, actually, Joe. Right?
It's a simple story, but that's even more reason for me, anyway, from sort of a cinematic perspective. Show me that jealousy. Don't tell me about it. I want to see it. I want to feel it along with those actors, with those characters, I should say. And they were just kind of talking about it instead of letting me just be a part of it. I felt anyway, but it was I didn't love it, but I thought it was okay.
Do you think it's a weak script, Joe? For Ellis, maybe.
Listen, I understand what Adam's saying here. Yeah, is it we? Yeah, look, again, it's a very understated. I don't know. It does have a definite mood to it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I guess it's the direction is good.
It does have a mood, but even that, I would have liked to have seen it a little grittier.
Did you see The Informers, Adam?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Okay. See, because I would love, because they're both similar. I mean, there are more stars in The Informers, but you can tell that they're there because they're in love with Bret Easton Ellis, and they're working, I'm sure, for cheaper. I would love to hear how you felt about The Informers compared to this. They're different stories, but it's similar in a sense that it's a very low budget independent film that Ellis penned for the screen. So it would be Max.
Check it out.
Yeah, well, Max, I think, might have seen both. So let's get him in here, Mr. Max.
That's my intro. What do you need from me, Tom?
See, Joe.
Tom, I have a question for you.
He's a consummate professional.
How come you pronounced unheralded unheralded?
I don't know. I've always pronounced it like that.
It's very odd. Anyway, I think this film is fabulous. Ellis is actually my third favorite writer of all time after Thompson and Bukowski. I actually hated American Psycho when I saw it with Adam all those years ago, and then I learned to fucking love it. I think last year I watched it probably 4 times because I thought, wow, this is finally cinematic Ellis. I thought Less Than Zero when I read it. I read it in the 80s when it came out. I thought I was reading my Catcher in the Rye. Mm-hmm. And I think if you live in a town like Los Angeles and you see what's going on in the canyons, it's not a soap. I mean, it's soap opera-y, fine, but there is a subtext going on of just murk, mood, loss, any connection that any of these people think they have, they don't have. I thought Lindsay Lohan was extraordinary. I think she's a phenomenal actress, and I really hope she gets over her addiction or whatever that is causing all this media nonsense. I never care about that. I just want to see the performance, and boy, did she sadden me. And I thought James Dean, the porn star, I've seen this guy fuck Dana Dearmond so many times. I've seen that dick in action, but I've never seen the dude. Like, and he's a really good actor. I was really impressed with him.
He's such a dick.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. He's horrifyingly awful.
Himself.
What a great villain.
He seems to be like a distant cousin of Patrick Bateman.
Yeah. He was just such a selfish, smug, cock-sucking fuck. I loved all the twists and the turns. I love the fact that this kid's going to be in the horror movie, and it turns out he's fucking Lindsay Lohan. And yeah, it's soap opera, but guys, it's Los Angeles. That's what
Ellis does. So, I mean, at least he's consistent with his vision of what that area is and what those people are.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
I've never been
true.
there. You guys are out there, but like to me, in my head, that's how it is to me. That's how that area is. The way Bret Easton Ellis writes about it is the way it is, whether it is or not.
You know what Schrader does, Tom? Schrader. This film is about the death of Hollywood. These people are now running the show. These people are making the movies. Why do you think he has all those beautiful photos of dead movie theaters?
Those montages.
I love
of
that.
Movie theaters are great.
Yeah.
How smart is that?
Yeah, that's
like
nice.
These motherfuckers, these unscrupulous, bored, cell phone.
I heard an interview with Schrader, actually, Max. He was talking about how this picture came into being, which actually made me appreciate the film actually even more. Is that they lost financing for a previous picture, I guess called Bait. He's been trying to get something off the ground with Bret Easton Ellis for a couple of years, and they lost the financing. So he's like, "Oh, let's just put in some money and we'll go make a friggin' movie, and we'll make a movie for the what did he call it? The theatrical era." You know what I mean? So that's how it basically started. It's being distributed straight to video, online, whatever. And it's going to be about that. Yeah, it's going to be about that. They made it about that that era. People. I think he said. What did he say? He said it was about the people. These kids were online to get into the movie theater, but they didn't get in, so they just started hanging around. So these are like the kids left in the wake of this death of theater. You know what I mean? They don't care about the movie they're making. They don't care about who they're fucking or not. They're just dead and soulless. Roaming around in this.
Talk about a zombie movie. My God.
Yeah.
Wow. How about that scene where Lohan reluctantly goes to meet with the yoga teacher, and they're sitting out there and they're drinking wine, and there's the swings. I mean, again, guys,
I love that. I love that scene. That's a beautiful looking scene.
Adam, you can probably admit that you can smell the jasmine in the air in that scene. I mean, that's where the film gets very quintessential Hollywood Hills, the theme I was kind of shooting for, even though I don't think the yoga instructor lived in the Hollywood Hills. But it's such an LA film. I mean, my God. at least once a week, I'm driving up into the Hollywood Hills, and I'm looking at the faces, and I'm looking at the outfits, and I'm looking at the. There's just a mystique going on, and I really think Schrader and Ellis, as a collaborative team, belong together, because I really can't wait to see what they do next. I hope they keep making films.
That would be
'Cause
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the fact that Ellis is, because he loves movies so much and he's always written about them in his novels. And yeah, The Informers is insane, and The Informers novel is even better. But I love the fact that this guy really has his weird little fingers on the pulse of the whole darker side of LA. I mean, no one gets it like him.
Right, and he's been doing it for
so long,
for 30 years now, man. I mean, yeah,
well, Less Than Zero
was like 83, right? Didn't he write that in 83?
Yeah.
I mean, geez. And then you know what I haven't read by him though, Max, which I'm curious if you or Adam have, is he wrote a sequel to Less Than Zero called Imperial Bedroom. Are you familiar?
I've never read that.
I never read it either, and I was thinking. I remember hearing about it like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and I'm like, oh, I got to get that, and it just kind of like I lost.
You can probably find it at Barnes and Noble in the bargain bin.
Yeah, you probably can. Which is, I never read it, and I think I'm gonna go look for that. Especially now that you recommended I get back into reading. Jesus Christ, I haven't picked up a book in probably a year. I mean, I just stopped reading.
I'm about to take a trip to Dallas. My entire backpack is full of books, including a book Adam gave me called The Art of Racing in the Rain, which I have taken 3 weeks to get 12 pages in because it's about a dog. It's through the POV, awesome. The eyes of a dog, and I can't handle it. But it's a great. I'm loving it.
Just reading. I mean, it used to bring me so much joy.
Yes,
and
you're a collaborator in the vision of the words.
I know.
Nice.
Apparently, I just prefer loathing.
Unheralded.
All right, enough. Please take it easy on me. Please, Max. Please.
Well, I'm supposed to handle you with kid gloves.
Maybe today I'm asking. Maybe one time at
75 shows.
75 shows, Max. What do you call it, Adam? 75 shows?
It's the golden anniversary.
There you go.
No, the diamond. The diamond.
Diamond. We're celebrating the diamond anniversary. And on our Max, hold on, guys. On our anniversary, Max, I want you to be kind to me.
All right.
Now listen, there's only a minute or two left in the show, so
I'd like to apologize for Deliverance.
Joe,
that doesn't count. Billy's not here. It doesn't count.
Joe, is there anything you'd like to apologize for?
Not yet.
No.
I'm sure I'll be apologizing for something. Someone will be yelling at me on the next episode. I'll be apologizing for something, I'm sure.
Oh, my God. All right, guys, we're going to wrap things up. So much more to talk about in a couple of weeks as we continue our Hollywood Hills discussion. We got a lot coming up for you fans, man. I'm telling you, we got some good guests coming up next week as well. I'll let you know in just a couple minutes. The Cutting Room Movie Podcast.
I'll probably be apologizing for my review of What's Up Rockers.
What's Up Rockers?
Oh, I can't wait.
All right. The Cutting Room Movie Podcast is brought to you by Christiana Productions and New Media Limited. The show is edited and co-produced by Joseph Schreck and produced by Thomas Detloff and Joe Christiana. We would also like to thank our associate producer, Jeremy Garcia of Dartboard Cinema.
Listen, there he is jerking off right now.
Oh.
He now has an associate producer credit?
Yeah. Associate. I don't even know what that means. I just gave it. I saw it on TV. Associate.
He watched the Blues Brothers and took a picture of himself.
He had what are those glasses called? Those Blues Brothers?
Not Ray-Bans, but...
No, they have... I forget the fucking name.
Not Radio Flyers. That's
We got to get Jeremy on with Max soon.
Yeah, I'll take care of it. You could like us...
He's not doing anything. Call him now. Have him sit in on the show. Come
on. Okay, all right. Maybe next week we'll have him on.
Bring him in for this next show.
That is next week. So
bring him in.
I'm bringing him in. All right.
Bring him in.
You can like us on Facebook at the Cutting Room Movie Podcast. And follow us on Twitter at Cutting Room Podcast at TCRMP1. And you can follow me on Twitter, Thomas Detloff, at TCRM Podcast. You could also check out Joe's film work at ChristianaProductions.com. You could get a sneak peek of Adam Shoulders' new show, Starland PC. Woo! And PC.com. Big announcement there, Adam.
That's pretty big.
I got the link right here, right next to my thumb. I'm about to click it. Max.
Wow, has this dude worked hard on this?
Yeah, I know, man. He's real proud of it. So get over there, check it out, starlandpc.com. Also check out Max and Adam's Bowler Hat Productions and their Mimosa podcast show at maxcookinthecounselor.com. And check out Max Cook's blog at maxcookuncorked.com. Music from The Cutting Room is done by the Zillitones. Check them out at www.thezillitones.com or search for The Zillitones at ReverbNation.com. We're going to be back next week, and we're going to continue our discussion on films from the Hollywood Hills, as we will do James Cox's Wonderland and Larry Clark's What's Up Rockers. Also, we will be joined by Tim Blake Nelson and James Cox. They're stopping by the Cutting Room to talk to me, Max, and Adam. Until then, we are over and we are out. Ciao.
Tune in next time to satisfy more of your strange desires. The Cutting Room Movie Podcast. We do chicken right.
I'm afraid I might be jealous of my own success, happiness, and love, which means I'm in a fucking hole I'm never getting out of. I'm bound to this. I'm in it for the long haul. Paul Schrader and Bret Easton Ellis were the perfect combination to make me realize a few things about myself. And for that, I'm going to endorse the Canyons, no matter what anybody says. Thank you.
Wow, Tom.
Damn.
Dude.
Man.
That may have been the most confessional.
Ouch.
That may be the most confessional review that anybody's ever delivered on the show, Tom.
Yeah, Tom.
Kudos to you, bro. I don't do you. I mean, do you even know how confessional that was? I mean, you're burying yourself there, man.
Yeah.
I mean, do you even realize how?
I do. I just came. I was, I watched the movie, and then, I always sleep on the film, before I write, any of this mumbo jumbo. And, it's what I thought about. It's what I went to sleep thinking about. I thought about that word, and then I aligned it with myself and how it's really had a major effect on my life and how I've felt about people and things and why I might.
Have you thought about that before?
Not as much as I have been the past 24 hours. No. Above mentioned films, including The Informers, which I find to be a lost masterpiece with brilliant performances that capture the essence of Ellis just as well as Christian Bale's Patrick Bateman in American Psycho. And this leads us to The Canyons, which has been critically shot down and is being thought of as one of the worst films in recent years, and a very sad contribution to an otherwise near legendary career of Paul Schrader. Well, once again, when it comes to Ellis on film, I'm going to take the opposite approach and say that this is a very fascinating piece of cinema, and Schrader finds Ellis's rhythm and puts together a unique little film with performances from porn star James Dean and troubled Hollywood starlet Lindsay Lohan that, in my opinion, are pretty absolutely stunning. And we'll talk more about The Canyons during our discussion. But let's just talk for a minute about jealousy, because this is something that has clouded me throughout my entire life. Yes, I'm a very jealous human being, and unfortunately, it has done nothing but bring me down. And maybe that's why I like this film, because not at all. It's just
Well, it takes a lot of bravery and courage to do what you just did.
Yeah,
right there.
it
takes courage to
it.
just do it to yourself without even putting it out there in the open like you're doing on this podcast.
Right, I know.
Just to do it to yourself,
Right.
to admit it, that kind of stuff to yourself
Yeah.
means that I mean it takes a lot of courage.
Well, it's funny because I've been struggling with writing, these intros for the show. I think as of late, I'm like, to me personally, I'm like hit or miss. And another thing, just thinking, I mean, I'm just not being as honest as I think I used to be, like, doing this. I used to have, I definitely used to bring up, myself and a form of honesty to what I've been writing for the show. And I lost touch with that. And it's been a real struggle for me. So I really wanted to make this piece, about how the effect it really had on me watching this, and how that when you're watching a movie, that's
Well, as the show's naturally evolves,
Correct.
Everybody's what their contributions to the show. I think everybody who participates in the show, their contributions evolve along to their own personal rhythms.
Yes.
So going back and listening to old reviews that
I know what it's like to be scarred by this emotional torture. Over the years, this enraged jealousy I've had has calmed, and it now swims in a multitude of vices like booze, food, marijuana, cigarettes, and a whole lot of porn. But I'm still a dysfunctional mess, most likely because I've never tried to really deal with it. I mean, this is my first public admission about my own jealousy. I suffer from severe jealousy, and I'm so sorry it might have affected you. I've disappointed you. I've made you angry in your otherwise angerless world. I mean, I've let you down. I'm a brat in a Bret Easton Ellis novel, minus the trust fund. The funny thing is, my inner understanding of jealousy and dysfunction has caused me to like what you might consider some really bad films. Hence my enjoyment for The Informers and The Canyons. Both I can watch over and over again, probably so I could wallow in my very own dark misery. What's wrong with me? The scariest thought of all is not only am I jealous of other people's success, happiness, and love, so let's talk about jealousy, because that is what Paul Schrader's 2013 film The Canyons is about. It's an erotic thriller based around the brattiest of brats roaming and sleazing their way around the Hollywood Hills. Penned by Bret Easton Ellis, the man who has brought us some of the most soulless people over the past few decades, from Less Than Zero to American Psycho to The Rules of Attraction to The Informers, Ellis has a gift for writing and giving us these awful creatures who usually wind up deserving their loneliness or deaths. Rarely does he give you anyone with soul in his stories. You can argue that Clay in Less Than Zero has a heart, and maybe Jean in American Psycho is a good girl, but to me, they just wallow in their own self-fulfilling fantasies that are as soulless as those that they are chasing. Ellis can write, and he does so with a rhythm that seems to be very difficult to translate to film. His works on the screen usually go unheralded, with the exception of American Psycho, which has found itself celebrating cult status success. Well, I beg to differ, as I can endorse all of these